Well, I want to thank everybody for joining today's Code Ninjas conference call. My name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Franchising here with Code Ninjas, and I host these calls each and every week to help give you a better understanding of Code Ninjas, a little bit of our history, what's going on with Code Ninjas, and catch you up a little bit. If you've listened to these calls in the past, you know that the first about 15 minutes of these calls are really just about giving you this backdrop of Code Ninjas, giving you a little bit more insight, catching you up a little bit. And then we go into what's called our live Q&A. These calls are live. They are not pre-recorded. So when you have questions at that time, you're going to be able to hit *6. It'll virtually raise your hand, and you'll be able to ask whatever questions that you have, and I'll do my very best to answer them. Whether you're in the U.S., whether you're in the UK, or whether you're in Canada, I will be able to answer your questions and give you more insight on your area, whether it be around territories or costs or discovery days or the franchise agreement, anything that I can legally answer. I will definitely do that for you today, and all questions are welcome. I will do my very best to give you clarity and kind of fill in the blanks everywhere that I can. So if you're just joining us, my name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Franchising here with Code Ninjas. And I've been hosting these calls for about 3 years. And to give you a little of an idea, 3 years ago, as of today, we obviously were on the phone all the time talking to prospective franchisees and weren't really getting many people to kind of hear us out on what we were doing. And David Graham, Bert Sensipon, and I started Code Ninjas in October of 2016, and then obviously launched officially as a brand in March 2017 is when we opened our first location, and we actually had a franchisee had secured their first location as well in March of 2017. So we were fully underway in February about 3 years ago, really just trying to get people to hear us out, listen to what this great concept was, and it was an interesting time because not a lot of people wanted to listen. Not a lot of people really saw the vision. And then we started getting traction in March, April, May, June. Fast forward now to 3 years about in the future. From that point, we have close to 600 locations sold now, over 200 locations open. We are in 3 different countries with more than 300 franchisees. We are the largest kids coding franchise in the world, and we grew at quite the clip the last 3 years. Now, what we were doing before we officially launched as a company, we were building our infrastructure. We were putting into place our compliance team, our support team, the workflow, the structure, our curriculum was obviously being built way before then, and really putting all this into one nice package for a franchising model. Since then, we have grown in terms of our offering inside of our centers. 3 years ago, we had a couple of camps that we did, and we had our Code Ninjas Belt program, which now we call our Create program, which we'll talk more about that in the future here on this call. But that's really all we had, just a couple of different offerings. You look at today, with over 14 different camps and workshops, Parents Night Out, our Code Ninjas Create, our Code Ninjas Junior, our After School program, our birthday parties, and now soon to be our Code Ninjas, our Pro curriculum. Obviously, that came all about from working with great franchisees. The majority of our franchisees in the beginning were software engineers, coders, programmers at heart. We had a couple of entrepreneurs that came from the child education sector. In fact, our very first location open was a teacher and turned entrepreneur, which made a great fit for Code Ninjas. And how this all kind of came around and how people saw the vision is David Graham owned a school that taught, who is our CEO, obviously, and founder, owned a school that taught adults how to code. And he had that for about 4.5 years. It operated in 18 different cities, and that obviously went very, very well. He sold that company before starting Code Ninjas. And the biggest reason that he saw the vision of Code Ninjas was he was getting asked on a regular basis from the students at his coding school that was a vocational school, of how do we get the younger generation involved in this whole coding mess that we're in of lack of the workforce out there, the demand for this, and the lack of understanding that was out there. And that's really what it is a lack of understanding of the benefits of what makes a great coder in that skill set. There's some really great articles and research that came out actually this past week, an article out of the UK that went into detail really about the neurological development and how learning this skill set really accelerates their thinking ability and problem solving, problem identification, which is what we know makes a great coder. So some great articles out there that are coming up now that just really talk about the development, the brain development up to 14 years old, and really what this can offer the younger generation and their thinking ability, their cognitive ability, those skills that make a great coder. So as time went along, David can continue to do research, continue to see the opportunity on the market, sold his school that taught adults how to code that was vocational, and really started to bring Code Ninjas together. That's when Bert Sensipon, myself, and David Graham really went full throttle in creating Code Ninjas and developing that to launch it out to the community. And the biggest part of Code Ninjas that people always ask about is really what's the value part of it? Why have we grown so much? And it's really this approach we've taken when it comes to kids have fun, parents see results. Having the best curriculum in the world, which we feel we have world-class curriculum, doesn't matter if you don't have that experiential side of everything, that fun factor for kids, and that engagement for parents. Parents want to know and they want to see what's happening, what the benefit is. They're turning over this money every month, and how are their son or their daughter progressing? What are they learning? Even if the parent doesn't understand it, they still want to understand that their son or their daughter is moving forward and having fun at the same time. And they'll be continue to motivated to come back and continue to be motivated to pay every month for the service. So how it all started was making sure that we have everything that was really focused on games and was ongoing, that we had a curriculum that lasted more than just a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because that's really what was on the market. And it was a camp-based curriculum, which we saw that is not necessarily what fits. Showing up at an appointed time, kids sitting through a lecture or a class, we don't offer that. We don't do that. What we do is we have a flexible learning system for the Code Ninjas Create program. The Code Ninjas Create program, that is that belt program we used to call it, because we have 9 different belts. We used to call it the belt program. Now we call it the Code Ninjas Create program. Code Ninjas Create program, like I said, is made up of 9 different belts. Inside each belt is a learned set of skills and a learned set of concepts. At the end of each belt, students are required to build a game that shows their proficiency in those skills and those concepts learned within inside of that belt. And when they build that game, that's built on what's called an LMS, a learning management system. We call it our GDP, our game development platform. Why we do that is because an LMS doesn't exist for coding. We had to build our own. We built our own proprietary, which is our game development platform, LMS. Once they show their proficiencies and their skills and concepts they learned within inside that belt, they can progress to the next belt. Each belt works with the prior belt and leads into the following belt. This is called cumulative learning. It all works together. Each belt has little wins that are built up all the way through. So when they're learning that skill or that concept, once they've done that, that's a win. And the more wins that our ninjas experience, the more competent they feel that they can accomplish each belt, which then in turn keeps them motivated. And obviously we do it through a game-based curriculum. So everything's about having fun, being creative, and at the same time, learning how to code. This is not just drag and drop, right? This is actually learning the syntax. They're going to be working their way through 3 different technologies, 3 different languages inside this curriculum. This curriculum takes about 3 years to accomplish by coming in about 2 hours per week. The majority of this curriculum is proprietary or exclusive to Code Ninjas. We have a exclusive robotics program built into this, so there's tactile learning as well. It's not just staring at a screen the whole time. They're going to have that tactile learning as well. And like I mentioned earlier, this curriculum is a flexible learning system, which means that they're going to be coming in at their convenience. So they'll be dropped off by their parents. They're going to come in. They're going to scan their wristband. Then they're going to go into the dojo. They're going to sit down. They're going to open up their laptop laptop, this curriculum lives on our platform in the cloud. Students access that by accessing through their dashboard. When they're on their dashboard, they can see what they've done in the past, where they're going, and be able to access the curriculum. So it's a pretty simple system in terms of where it lives, how it works. This is only available inside of Code Ninjas. This, like I said, the flexible learning system means that they're going to come in and they're going to be able to choose, are they staying for an hour or 2 hours that day? Are they going to use up their whole week? Because they can come in up to 2 hours a week. They can do that one day a week, say they're going to be for 2 hours. Everything is controlled by our software, our system, so the code senseis know what they have to do, what's going on, how long their kids are going to be there, when they need to save, where they're at. Parents can also access what their son or their daughter has done through the parent portal, so they're able to actually play the games their son or their daughter has built or where they're at in the current system. So this gives you a kind of an idea of how that works in terms of the Code Ninjas Create program. Parents pay a flat monthly tuition rate for their son or daughter to access the Code Ninjas curriculum on site for up to 2 hours per week. And this is one of the programs we offer. We also have Code Ninjas Junior, which is a non-reading based curriculum, and that also has levels that they work through as well, but it's a non-reading based program. Then we obviously also offer our after-school program. The after-school program is available in the U.S. and Canada. It is not currently available in the UK. There's some interesting rules over there, certifications, zoning, usages, stuff that we have to work through that can cause a real issue when you start to go for that after-school program and licenses needed and such. It's a little bit different there. Parents' night out, birthday parties, camps and workshops. Camps and workshops are what you see today. If you go online and you Google anybody who's teaching kids how to code, they're doing it through a camp-based curriculum that is out there and floating around, whether it be Roblox or whether it be Minecraft or whatever it might be out there. We have also 14 different camps and workshops. Those can be done on-site or those can be done off-site. So you can take those out into the school system as well. They don't just have to be inside of your Code Ninjas. Like the Code Ninjas Create has to be in your center. Birthday parties, obviously. Parents' night out, obviously, have to be on site. And there's Code Ninjas Junior and after school. But with the camps and workshops, you can take those out into the community or just have them both. You can do them both, out in the community and inside your Code Ninjas. Whenever there's not school, you're offering camps and workshops. So there's it's a big traffic generator, getting families involved in Code Ninjas. It's not just a one or done situation. This is about engaging new customers, re-engaging old customers. When you're continuing to offer more and more programs, you can continue to re-engage your past students, your current students, on bringing different things to the table, whether it's a Python camp or whether it's a drone camp or whether it's a Daughters and Drones or whatever it might be. You can offer different camps throughout the year to continue to drive traffic and bring people into your center. The larger amount of traffic that's coming in, you're creating that culture. You can do parent tech education nights. There's so much you can do to build that brand inside your community that you start to become the place to go. And we have success story after success story across the country. Not everything is duplicatable, so you have to really see it as what you bring to the table, what your communication gifts are, and how you deliver and execute the business plan within inside your community. So this gives you a little bit of an idea on the multiple offerings that we have at Code Ninjas, and based on family, based on the budget, based on convenience, based on their time commitment. There's plenty of different programs that when a student comes in and a family comes in, if they see value in what Code Ninjas has as a company, they have an opportunity to choose which program is best for them at that time at that stage in their life and their family. So pretty easy setup. Code Ninjas, we are a fully branded center. You can't open this up in a church. You can't open it up in the basement of a school. This has to be a storefront. This has to be a place, it doesn't, in the UK, doesn't have to be on High Street because outrageous rent costs there, but you do have to have a dedicated center for Code Ninjas. If you are in the UK, I'll be there next week actually hosting a Discovery Day. Then the following week here in the U.S., we're hosting another Discovery Day. Discovery Days are what we do at our corporate office here in the U.S. or remotely in the U.K. in London. And those Discovery Days are really designed to be able to help you take one more step closer to becoming a franchisee. Typically, you've done quite a bit of research before coming to a Discovery Day. Typically, you kind of have your market's available, it's viable. Financially, you know that it's going to be able to make that happen. You have you've been pre-approved or have the funds already in terms of being able to fund your project. With financial vendors in place, we have FF&E vendors in place, we have real estate vendors in place, signage vendors in place, insurance vendors in place. We have this roadmap for you. And this is really where, obviously, you step into that and put your business acumen into it and take it another step forward. So if you've listened to these calls in the past, you know that I'm pretty much right on time every time in terms of our timing with how these calls go. So that first 15 minutes is really just what you hear here, right? If you listen to these calls in the past on our YouTube franchising channel, you hear these calls last an hour to an hour and a half, and it really just comes down to your questions. I don't rant for an hour and a half because that would put everybody to sleep. So what we do now is I open it up to the Q&A. Like always, tons of coffee, so I'm good to go. I'm ready to handle any questions you come my way as long as I can legally answer them. And all questions are welcome. So don't think, well, that's a stupid question. I don't want to ask that. That seems trivial. Ask it. This is your time to ask whatever questions are on your mind and allow me to do my very best to answer them for you. It's pretty easy how it works. If I did such a fantastic job and nobody has any questions, then we wind down early. If you do have questions, you would hit *6. That's going to virtually raise your hand. I'll be able to unmute you, and you'll be able to ask whatever questions you have. If you have a question that is for outside the U.S. or outside of Canada or outside of the UK, this is not your time. If you have a question about opening up anywhere else besides UK, US, and Canada, you need to send me an email. We don't need to be asking questions right now. My email's pretty easy, marty@codeninjas.com. Send me an email there, and then we can talk about that there. But if there's any questions about outside of the US, outside of Canada, or outside of the UK, I will not be answering those on this call. So we have a few questions, which is fantastic. Hi, you have a question?
I do. Thank you very much. I recently just had the initial call, received the FTD and the pro forma Excel spreadsheet, and
nice.
I really have been analyzing the business model. So what I've observed is two things. One is a summer camp does, based on the pro forma, contribute a significant amount of the income. It seems that way. So my question is, how long does it take, how many years does it take to reach critical mass in summer camp? And that's one question. And the other question is, I've identified my markets and the available student population. What's an experienced penetration rate, like of a student population? What percentage do you see being attracted to a site? Thank you.
Great. So a couple things there. I have to be really, really cautious on what I can discuss based off the item 19 information. So legal counsel is pretty much all over it. Or if I give you any kind of possible mathematical equation that those numbers go outside of the franchise disclosure document item 19, I could, that's liability in the U.S. and Canada, and I can get in trouble for that. So when it comes to reaching critical mass, I can tell you that typically, and it all depends on the setup. That's what it comes down to, because every time I say this, somebody calls me and tells me that wasn't true for them. I usually say after your first summer, your second summer, you're typically a lot busier than your first summer because the word has got out and the marketing is there and you're in the community more. And then every single time I say that, a franchisee calls me and here's what I said that. And they said, no, my first year was better. My first year, I knocked it out of the park. And, maintained it my second year. It all comes down to the setup and following the marketing that we offer. So when you look at hitting critical mass, you're continuing to offer different camps in your community. You're not offering the same exact camps every single year. Unless that camp was extremely popular and you want to redo it again the following year, like our Game Builder camp is extremely popular and is done year over year over year by some of the same kids. So when it comes to reaching critical mass, it's constantly giving a different offering. So you're going to have good years and you're going to have bad years. There's not necessarily going to be a critical mass side of hitting your camps, because you have to be consistent with your marketing and you're consistently pushing out new camps, new offerings to your community and to your students. So by doing that correctly, you should have pretty consistent numbers from summer 1, summer 2, and summer 3. And when it comes to penetration, we make it very clear that a viable community when it comes to Code Ninjas is at least 6,000 students in our age range, and the median household income has to start at about $70,000. If one of my team members wants to have anything approved outside of that, they have to send me compelling reasons why. Based off of, we have internal and external matrices we use based on center performance, based off of cost of living in different communities. So if you're making $70,000 a year and you're living in the Bay Area, that's like a lower income side of town. But if you're doing that in some other, like Minnesota or Texas, and you're more in the country, that's a higher end income. So when it comes to territories and market penetration rate, we really, that part of it we have to take off the side, because I need to understand more about those communities. And if my team members want to approve something that's outside of that, they have to do that with me one-on-one and give me compelling reasons why I would approve a market like that. So okay, I hope that helps you a little bit. All right, wonderful. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, a couple of questions. Generally speaking, how much are the membership fees for these programs that the parents will be paying? Also, the second question is there some sort of networking or some sort of Facebook group or something that connects people who are thinking about opening up a Code Ninjas in an area, just to maybe have a conversation with somebody nearby who's also thinking about it? So I guess those are my two.
When it comes to prospective franchisees and doing some kind of a Facebook, I don't know if that would have a tremendous value, because you really don't know anything about that. When you become a franchisee, we have collaboration tools, support tools built into our system. You're collaborating. But beforehand, I don't know if I would necessarily trust a Facebook group of people that are thinking about opening up a Code Ninjas in the same market. I'm not really sure I would trust some of those words coming out. When it comes to cost, in terms of parents, we have programs vary anywhere from, could be as low as $50 for a parent's night out. We have some centers that are doing 1 hour a week for around $100 a month. That's 1 hour per week. Our average, you can see inside the franchise disclosure documents, about $225, $213 per month on average. And that's inside the item 19, and that's for about 2 hours per week, so 8 hours per month. But that's for the U.S. and Canada, those numbers.
Okay. That's all I'm looking for right now. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, my question is, I've been kind of on the periphery of this for about a year now, and I keep coming back because I just can't shake how good of an idea this is. My question is about financing. It says on the website there's financing available. What's the typical, what percentage of the startup cost do you typically finance?
Well, we as a company don't finance you. We have financial brokers that we work with. So the financial brokers that we work with specialize in the franchising world, the franchising business, and there are two of these brokers are some of the two most popular on the market today. So they're very credible. They specialize in the franchising world. this is their main business is financing or obtaining financing for franchisees.
Okay. I misunderstood that then. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
I do. You mentioned a pro forma spread. My son and I are interested in a franchise. Is that accessible, or what do you require to take a look at your pro forma to understand the business plan and what's required of the franchisee?
Yeah, so that would be done. So I'm assuming one of my team members has probably already reached out to you. If they haven't, and that maybe ended up in the junk file or whatever, email me, Marty at codeninjas.com, and I will get you connected. Once you have that initial first call with a member of my team, they will get you the franchise disclosure document, the Excel pro forma, curriculum roadmap, give you a better outline of the business model, kind of fill you on what discovery days look like. They kind of give you that initial first call with you, get you the tools that you need, and then allow you to, we don't like to pester people, so we really kind of just turn over to you and allow you to dig into it and reach back out to us when you're ready.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, very good. I appreciate that information. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, do you have a question?
We are just calling from outside. Yes, we have a question. We are calling from outside of the United States. We are just wondering if you guys have any opportunities for franchising in Turkey.
So like I mentioned earlier, this call is only for the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. If it's anything outside of that, you need to email me, Marty at codeninjas.com. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Question is about, you mentioned something about it has to be a dedicated center and it has to be shop front. So do we get any help to find the location, or we have to
Yes,
just...
of course, yes. Yep, no, we have preferred vendors in place for real estate that they have actually done about 75% of our current open centers. They have negotiated and found the spaces for those. So we have a preferred vendor in place that works with you on finding your space, negotiating your lease for you, and walking you through that whole process.
And how close, is there any criteria that there should be there should not be any other Code Ninja franchisee nearby? Is there any?
Yeah, any territories have to go through our approval process. So the territory has to be seen as viable, available. We go through internal and external matrices. So those, you can't just choose a territory. We definitely have to approve it before anybody moves forward. And obviously looking at where it is in proximity of other territories is really, really critical as approving something.
Okay, one more question. How do I get the details about the cost of the whole franchising, like the details of...
Sure, it's actually on our website. It's on our website. It breaks it all down for you on our website and inside of our franchise disclosure document as well.
Okay. And you said that you're going to London for the Discovery some session. Is it possible that similar session will be available in Chicago?
We have Discovery. Nope. Discovery days are only at our corporate office in Houston, Texas, and we host them also in London.
Okay.
So we have every single month we host a Discovery Day at our corporate office in Houston, Texas, and Pearland, Texas, and it's by invitation only, and all those attending have to be pre-approved.
Okay. Last question. If I decide to go further with this, what should be my next action from now on?
You're going to want to make sure you chat with the individual that has probably already reached out to you. If you haven't seen that email, you need to email me, Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at codeninjas.com, and I'll get you connected with someone ASAP.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi there. Yeah, I'm calling from London, UK. and wanted to find out a few things. The first one is, as you just said, that you got discovery phase going on in London. Have you got any dates for that, and how can I book attendance for that, appointment for that?
Yeah, it's going to be on Thursday, February 13th at the Bankside Hilton, and it's by invitation only, and we might be at capacity, so you're going to want to reach out to whoever's reached out to you already, whether it's going to be Diane or myself, and we can see if we can get you in there. But this might be kind of short notice because today is Friday. I don't know if we have the space available on Thursday anymore. We're currently sitting at about 55 to 60 attendees, which is a full house.
Okay. So does it mean no, or can someone come back to me if there is anything available, or how does it work with that?
Yeah, like I said, please reach out to whoever's reached out to you already, whether it's going to be myself or Diane VC. One of us has already reached out to you. Make sure you email them back, and then we'll see if we can get you in there.
Yeah, there was some lady, I think, she emailed it. I forgot her name, but yeah, I can reply to her and I can find out from her.
Her name is Diane. Yep. Yeah, her name is Diane.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
I can check with her. And just in case, if there's one more question.
No, go ahead, please.
Please. So say if I'm not able to attend that one, is there any other way I can gain further information, that if I want to set up a franchisee, or that's the only one way?
Yeah, no, talking to the person that emailed you, it sounds like it was Diane.
Yeah.
Make sure you connect with Diane. I mean, I have a UK-based office and UK-based team, so make sure you're connecting with her, and she can lay out all the steps for you, for sure.
Okay, and do you have any franchisee support, startup support and stuff? You just mentioned about the US. Have you got anything in the UK as well, about the financial support and things like that, or is it just for the US?
No, we have a full support team inside the UK. We have preferred vendors for NatWest and our signage vendors and fit-out vendors and FF&E. We have full support in the UK because obviously we're opening up. We already have 15 centers sold there. We'll have, just in the next month, we'll probably be adding 5 to 8 more centers in the UK. So definitely have a full support structure in the UK as well.
Okay, sounds good. I'll speak to her then. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah, hi. I have 2 questions actually. What so as far as compared to a normal boot camp for adults, what's kind of the biggest thing that sets this apart for kids? Is it the curriculum, or is it just kind of the style of how things are taught?
Well, when it comes to adults, that's more vocational. When we're teaching kids, we're teaching them the basic fundamentals. So it's everywhere from how it's taught to the convenience, the flexible model. Boot camps aren't flexible models. Boot camps are showing up, doing it, hardcore. You can't teach kids that way. We're talking, we work from 4 to 14 years old. So everything is going to be different. It's completely gamified. And it's about the experience part of it along with the learning. So it's completely different compared to how adults are taught.
Okay. Second question is, if I get approved vicinity where I could establish Code Ninjas, and I also have a plot of land, residential land that I live on in that area, could I potentially build a separate building on the land I have and have the Code Ninjas there, or would it need to be in a commercial zone?
It has to be retail.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you.
And what kind of support as far as marketing? I know you guys said you help put on events throughout the year, but just kind of how does Code Ninjas help the franchisee build the brand out beyond just helping them hold events?
So we have when you become a franchisee, you work with our PR firm as well, and they obviously spread the PR through your community. And we have full digital marketing strategies in place, and we also have the best practices that our franchisees are currently doing all over the country. So you are tapping into the digital strategies that have been working, and obviously that whole plan is laid out for you. We have traditional marketing that's already there for you as well, and then obviously learning from your peers and other franchisees the best practices that they share in terms of what they do. So that we don't market your business for you. You have to do the marketing. Right. You have to do the spend, but we contribute to national marketing. We don't charge you for that. We don't take fees from you to do national marketing. We do that on our own. And when it comes to setting your budget, that's where you come in terms of how you want to market your business.
Right.
We have the roadmap and everything laid for you. We have the tracks laid. It's you following and going along with that.
Okay, and when I did have the initial call, I believe I had it with Mike, he talked about there's kind of like a pre-enrollment process before your Code Ninjas is maybe even established and built up, so you can get people to sign up prior to it starting. What's like the success rate with that as far as getting students on board?
Well, every center does a pre-sale. So every center has done it. So, obviously it works. I can't go over what their numbers are because it's not displayed in our franchise disclosure document, item 19. But we wouldn't continue to do it every single opening if it wasn't a successful recipe.
Right. Okay, cool. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question? Hi, do you have a question? Maybe I'm on mute. Do you have a question?
Sorry. Yeah, I was on mute. But yeah, so I'm looking at the item 19 data that you guys had provided. So can you kind of just explain the table? I see that you've got a number of centers.
One-on-one. So what we do with the item 19, because this is a public platform, we go over the item 19 with you one-on-one. So if you'd like to dive into the item 19, make sure you chat with Mike Rodriguez or Jeff Thames.
Yeah, he's the one
whoever you're working with.
Mike.
Yeah.
Right.
So work with him one-on-one, and he'll go through the item 19 with you. If he needs help or anything like that, he pulls me into that conversation as well. But Mike Rodriguez lived in the support system with Code Ninjas for a year before moving on to the development team. So he's pretty aware of what it takes to open, what it looks like, and that whole process. So he should be able to help you, but you definitely want to dig in with him on that one-on-one.
Gotcha. And then another question is basically the due diligence support prior to coming down for Discovery Day. So is that mainly on us to do our own homework? And I know Mike's helped me with finding some demographic information and things like that. But what about if I wanted to contact one of your realtors in my area to kind of, that way I could kind of figure out, well, how much is the rent going to cost me? And, just filling in my blanks for expenses and things like that.
You can definitely reach out to Mike can connect you with our preferred vendor. They're called Morrow Hill. They're out of Dallas, Texas. They wrote more than 1,500 commercial leases last year. They're one of the number ones in the country. They're absolutely fantastic. They do a great job representing you, representing the brand, and negotiating, great rates. You can work with them, but without being a franchisee, you're not committed to a brand, of any brand, not just Code Ninjas, but in the commercial real estate world, a lot of times commercial realtors and landlords don't want to work with you a whole lot until you're actually committed to a franchise to open. So keep that in mind. There might only be limited work that they'd be willing to do with you from a landlord and a commercial realtor's perspective because you're not actually a franchisee. So they don't want to invest a lot of time, effort, and energy into somebody who can just look at it and be like, I guess I changed my mind and walk away. And here they have all these hours invested into you. So keep that in mind when you go down that road. You might not get a lot of realtors and a lot of landlords wanting to interact. You can look up easy business rates on LoopNet, things like that.
They won't take me seriously until basically I've signed the franchisee document or contract.
And I'm telling you, that's not just with Code Ninjas. That's any franchise.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now. That has nothing to do with just Code Ninjas. It's the way the commercial real estate world works. You can go on LoopNet. You can look at going rates. You can do just a little bit of research online, and you can get a really good understanding of what your market has for per square foot per year in terms of lease costs. Right. You can even look up what TIA is in some cases. But when it comes to really digging in and negotiating with a landlord, you're probably not going to get a lot of attention even from a landlord. I mean, if you went directly to a landlord and you said, hey, I'm thinking about opening up a Code Ninjas, and he asks you, hey, are you a Code Ninja franchisee? And you say no, he's going to be real hesitant on how far he moves ahead with you because you're not actually committed to opening anything. So it's not just about being a Code Ninja franchisee. It's really understanding the commercial real estate landscape. And it's different in every market. Some people will give you more attention. Some people won't give you more attention. It's really hard to predict. So I always tell everybody, if you want to understand your basic rates, go on LoopNet, connect with Morrow Hill. They could probably send you a report, but that report is going to be really generic, and it's not really going to be fine-tuned, and they haven't negotiated anything. So you're only going to see the surface rates. You're not going to see any negotiated rates or any negotiated TI or any negotiated free rent or getting into those details, because typically landlords don't like to go down that road until they know that the tenant is actually serious.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay.
It's a little slippery slope. It's kind of like, it's a little frustrating, trust me. I mean, you can probably hear the frustration in my voice. It's frustrating for me because I want to make sure I can get you those numbers, and I want to help you go down that road. But unfortunately, I've done this about 1,000 times, and I continue to hit these roadblocks. It's just the way landlords and some of these realtors work, unfortunately. Because sometimes you won't even talk to the landlord. Like, you can find a commercial realtor. You'll work with a commercial realtor. The commercial realtor will reach out to the landlord's realtor, and that landlord's realtor will put a wall up and not go too far. So you're kind of, again, you hit another wall. So it's but you can get the generals from LoopNet and some reports that you can pull.
Right. I guess my concern is the availability of the retail space in that area that I want to open up. Because what is it? I have a certain time frame to meet from signing the documents to actually opening up the franchise. What is it, 8 months?
Well, keep in mind, though, when you're going down this approval process with Code Ninjas, there's other things that we can do to help you see what's going on in the market. So you keep that in mind, too. I mean, coming to Discovery Day, getting pre-approved, going down this road with us is versus just being on one call, right? So make sure you're working with my team, because the further you go down the road with us, the more energy you put into it, the more we can even push to get you more information.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I have another question. What's the majority of the revenue on average for your Code Ninjas? Is it the drop-in, summer camps? I mean, I'm just trying to get an idea.
Drop-in will be your majority. And then you'll get that nice injection from the summer camps. And if you do your summer camps right, you do your summer camps right, you're doing them on-site and off-site, you could actually balance that income coming in. But typically, the Code Ninjas Create program is going to be the Code Ninjas Create, the Code Ninjas Junior is going to be your number one revenue producer.
Okay. And, I mean, you guys are growing really fast, it seems like. I guess you guys, as far as what is considered a territory, is that like 3 mile radius, or I'm just trying to get an idea just so it doesn't get too competitive with the franchisees?
My team will tell you what's going on. So if you say, I want to be in that market, they're going to tell you, you have to be over here, you have to be over there, and it's going to be based off my team knowing where everybody else is at. So it's all about being viable and available. The numbers have to make sense. If the numbers don't make sense, it's not going to be approved.
Right. Okay.
And we've been opening up to these smaller markets as well. So now Code Ninjas is going to smaller markets and opening a little bit more of a smaller express model into these smaller markets. But they have to be really far away. We're talking 10 miles away from the nearest Code Ninjas that could be. So you're talking these smaller, more isolated markets. I was just talking to somebody in Alabama where surprisingly small market, higher income, and just nothing around them. It's a perfect market for that express Code Ninjas model versus a traditional larger Code Ninjas. So when it comes to these smaller communities, we're getting more and more phone calls in these smaller areas that have a lower kid count, higher income, but there's nothing for 15, 20 miles.
There's nothing around. So
we're getting a lot more of those coming in. Well, it kind of, yeah. So my team can work with you on it, and they can connect you with me on it too, but it's a little bit different of a model than the typical because it has to be pretty far away from a traditional Code Ninjas.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, my concern is it's a growing rural area, but it's not too far from, a bigger city. So I was,
that won't work.
It's kind of an untapped market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're talking not middle of nowhere. Not like, oh, this is a suburb. No, that's not going to work because it has to be at least. We're talking 10 miles as the crow flies from edge to edge of territory. So we're talking like 15 miles as the crow flies away from a possible traditional location. So it's a little bit more complicated, and we work market by market with those. Okay,
and then my last question. Sorry about this.
No worries. Go ahead.
Is there any way to kind of get a snippet of the not necessarily the software, but just I'm talking about just the experience itself, what the kids are actually going to see. I mean, that could even just be a document. I mean, I'm just trying to get an idea what.
Come to Discovery Day. Come to Discovery Day.
Okay, that's Discovery Day.
We spend an hour on curriculum at Discovery Day. We go to our center. I mean, so we go to our live 3,000 square foot center that we use for Discovery Days. We spend an hour on curriculum with a Q&A. So you meet the Vice President of Education. You meet curriculum developers. So you want to go down that road, you have to be approved, and you have to be able to come to Discovery Day to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. I have a couple of questions. Actually, you guys are growing very fast. Do you know, how this market is growing in sense, how the interest is in parents and kids is changing year over year?
You mean retention? How we're retaining our customers year over year?
Yeah, the retention and,
Yeah, we run at about an average of about a 7 to 8% of retention across Code Ninjas. So we keep a high number of our students month over month. So a month-over-month attrition is about 8%, 7-8%. Some centers are higher, some centers are lower. I was talking to a center the other day. They're at about 5.6%, but average is about 8%, I would say, to be safe. And that's month over month. So we keep a very high number of our students month over month.
Okay, that's good. But, how about the growth, basically? Are you seeing, I know you opened for, you're in business for the last 4 to 5 years. So it's are you seeing that average center size is growing from last year to this year over year?
So we open an average of about 100 centers a year. So we've been opening centers. This will be our 3rd year of having our first center open, but then our first franchise center opened in, I believe it was in December, January. So through 2018 through 2019, we opened up 200 centers within 2 years, and we're on pace to open another 100 centers this year.
Okay, that's good. So, but what is for a typical? I'm not talking about extreme suburban areas, but for a typical location, what is number of students for a break even?
So you're going to have to look at the franchise disclosure document, item 19, and you're going to have to use those numbers along with our Excel pro forma, and then you'll be able to see your base operating expense and what the typical base operating expenses with the Code Ninjas, and then what kind of income based on that item 19, and you can overlay those numbers and actually get a pretty good defined number.
Okay, that's good. And one more question, actually. Can you talk a little bit about the competition, and when you approve for a specific territory, you mentioned that you make sure you're at least 10 miles away from the previous Code Ninjas center, but do you also look at other competition?
No, you're confusing. Yeah, so hold on a second. No, that what you heard there was talking about the express model, so let's not get that confused with the traditional Code Ninjas. When it comes to competition, we have to look at, we do a SWOT analysis, look at your market, you work with my team, they help you understand the differences, and it's your choice to move forward or to not move forward. So we help you understand what those are. obviously, just like any other business, it's your decision on how you want to move forward. But obviously, we're going to be there to help you understand the competition, the differences, and the compelling reason why so many families and so many entrepreneurs have chosen Code Ninjas. But still, you have to see that, and you have to feel confident and comfortable to move forward in your market with whatever is there in terms of competition.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, last question. Hi there. Do you have a question? Hi.
Yeah, I'm Phil from Vancouver, Canada here. This is my first time on the call. So I'm just trying to kind of get a good understanding of your program here and what you guys are all about. So can you tell me, like, when a child comes in, do they come to a scheduled class? Is it a group setting, or do they just drop in and there's an instructor that walks around and they go at their own pace, or how does that work?
So I really appreciate your question, and I'm assuming you missed the first part of this call where I went over all that.
Oh, yeah, I was probably about a minute late there.
No, well, for the first 15 minutes, I went over how all of this works. So what I would say is that because there's 40 or so people on the call today that we kind of went over this already, I would say let's make sure you connect with my team one-on-one. And if you haven't heard from somebody, please email me, marty@codeninjas.com, and I'll connect you. And also, all these calls are recorded and hosted on my franchising YouTube channel for Code Ninjas. And in the first 15 minutes, I go over your question you just asked. I go over that in the first 15 minutes of our call.
All right, I'll move on to my next question here then for you. In terms of curriculum development, can you talk about kind of what you guys do for your curriculum, like for R&D and whatnot, for kind of expanding and developing your curriculum?
Yeah, we actually spend about an hour going over that at Discovery Day. So we have a vice president of education. We have about 15 programmers and developers on staff that focus on our curriculum development and kind of how we do it, how we move forward. The versions we've been through and what's come on since we've started Code Ninjas compared to the beginning to now. So, and obviously our founder is there as well, and then our vice president of education along with curriculum developers there, so you can fire away all the questions you have at Discovery Day. We kind of leave the more details of the roadmap to the future, where we've come from in terms of the more into the weeds side of the curriculum. We focus those at Discovery Days. Because those are the pros, right? I mean, the vice president of education can give you way better insight than a call like this.
Okay. And I guess my next question here is, in terms of your camps and all your programs and workshops, is that all kind of developed and you guys just kind of pass on that package to the franchisee to learn and to and deploy? Or
yeah, there's a couple of things with that. Yes to that, and our franchisees are pretty wicked smart, so they come up with a lot of stuff themselves. So they actually submit different camps and different workshops that they would like to do. Once our curriculum team has a chance to go through those and we can make that duplicatable to the rest of our franchisees, we definitely approve it. Like there's a few of them that have recently been approved that 100% came from franchisees. And that internal organic growth coming from franchisees because they're on the ground every day is so valuable versus just duplicating a camp that's done online somewhere or somebody else is doing. You know, we're starting to now get a lot of camps from our franchisees who are coders, programmers, software engineers, teachers that are bringing forward these camps. We look at them, have our team go through them. As long as it's duplicatable and we can move forward with it, we approve it, we beta test it, and we have many camps that were created by our franchisees that are just better than what's on the market today. I mean, we could easily have 15 camps that are just out there on the market today. We're getting great stuff from our franchisees that are better, and we're able to put that through our system. It's pretty exciting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, we have one more. Okay. Last question.
Yes, Marty, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, I do. Perfect. I am very excited about coming to the Discovery Day. I've already signed up, but what I wanted to know is what I can expect from the full day. Is it a full day? Is it a half day? I just want to manage accordingly as we're coming to town.
Well, you know, everybody says it's a half day, but plan for a full day. Nobody ever lets our team out of there without tons of questions and going over on time. We hate going over on time, and once you meet Liza, you're going to find out that She's all about the time and all about keeping everybody accountable. We like to be on time, but honestly, prospective franchisees' questions come first, and making sure that we can address those and answer those for you is a priority. So we end up going over quite often on time.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to manage. I have a son that actually participates in Code Ninjas now, and he's 8, and I was like, what do I do? So I just wanted to plan accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining today's Code Ninjas conference call. Like I said, if you have not heard from one of my team members, feel free to reach out to me at any time. You can also text me if you would like at 763-516-3578. You can also use that on WhatsApp. If you have any questions or if my team has not reached out to you, please reach out to me. I will connect you. Thank you for taking your time to join today's conference call.